Pikachu, how are you standing in that doorway like that? And jumping on it. Hey everyone, I am Mike of Mike and Test Play, and welcome back to the Pokemon Yellow Immortal Pikachu Nuzlocke. Last time we did the whole Nugget Bridge and also caught Yoink, because Yoink is going to be very important for Misty. And possibly later, who knows. But yeah, we caught Yoink and we are wildly not ready for Misty yet. But it's honestly, it's fine, because we are going to take on the trainers around 25, because we have enough levels to do so. And that's a lot more interesting than just grinding. So, you know. But yes, we are ready, basically, for... Actually, wait, did I fight this guy yet? Nope. Guess not. And he saw our feet from the grass. Nice, clever little pun there. We're also probably going to catch another Pokemon today, and definitely get a gift Pokemon? Well, one at least. I forgot how Oddish looks in Gen 1. It's so goofy. But yeah, Oddish we are going to be very much keeping alive. Well, that was incredibly scary for a moment there, because Yoink is kind of the whole plan for how we're not going to die to Misty. And not like the whole plan, but like close enough that was very scary. This Fluffums is also now in trouble. You flinched! That's good. That's what we want. We want flinching at this point, you know. Hyperfang flinches. That's, I mean, it does. Like, I'm not like, oh no, that's because it's just rare. But so Rattatas, terrifying. And now it's an Ekans, and you know what, Rage Face, you're just staying in because both of the Pokemon we want to level up just very close to dying. I'm aware that that sentence made absolutely no sense, but you know, Ekans is using Wrap, and I was waiting to see if it would be a crit that might kill Rage Face. It's not, so I'm very happy about that. But like, goodness, man, that's a lot of. Wait, was that 5 yet? Yeah, that was 5. Good job, Rage Face. You're not dead. Kind of how I'm feeling at this point, just like everything is like, well, I'm not dead yet, so that's a plus. You know. There's a Thunder Wave TM here. You could have had Tail Whip for Brock. Well, you know, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. We're gonna get the free Charmander here, because we're not gonna leave it with this bad guy. But remember, Charmander not going to be a part of the team, even though we could use Fire right now, honestly. But no, because no gift Pokemon. Hardcore Nuzlocke, we are not using gift Pokemon. But you know, we're gonna pick them up, because we're gonna pick up all 3 starters eventually, because you know, it's yellow version, and they're available, and you know, he's gonna go right in the box. I mean, you know, eventually I'm gonna like sort out the boxes so that he's not in like, you know, the party box or whatever, but that involves a lot of saving and stuff, and I don't want to save during a recording, because what if the recording fails? Because, you know, I'm not the technically skilled one. So me running the recording means that things are always just a little bit odd. So yeah, Charmander, you're just gonna go straight into the box. All good. And we just have you now in case we need someone for cut, in case people die. It's pretty... Not, well, I mean, Pokemon die. They're Pokemon. Alright, we need clearly a couple of levels, because we're under-leveled even for the trainers. So you know what? This is going to include some grinding. Because just to get Fluffums and Yoink up to 15. I think at that point, they can take on the trainers. So you know what? What I said like 5 minutes ago, not accurate. We are going to be doing some grinding. I'm all over the place. Primarily because my Pokemon keep almost dying, and that's like weird and like disappointing. And ooh, this means I can rant about something. What am I gonna rant about? I think I still have one topic left. The forced experience share. It's kind of good. I mean, during grinding, it is certainly very interesting to talk about. Goodness, everything is... Even wilds are like, oh, we're gonna almost kill you. Yeah, you know what? That's a good rant. That's a good rant for this grind of scariness. So, okay. For those who are unaware of the forced experience share issues that are coming up in Pokemon right now, basically, for the first 5 generations, well, yeah, for the first 5 generations, experience was if your Pokemon is in battle, then they gain experience from that battle. It's, you know, either they did the whole fight and they gain experience from the whole Pokemon. You know, this Spearow is worth 74, so Fluffum's got 74. But if Fluffums had switched out to somebody else, they both would have gotten 37, because it would have been split in half, and then it splits to thirds, and so on and so forth. And all of that is good. It's good experience design. It's just slow. And the only real remedies to it were the Lucky Egg introduced in Gen 2, I believe, and the Experience Share, which actually does exist in this game. It's just called the Experience All, and it just splits it between the entire party evenly no matter what happens. Which was interesting, and it was an item that you had to store, you know, in your bag. You have to actively keep it with you in order to use it. And who knows if we'll pick it up during this run. I mean, you need 50 Pokemon in the Pokedex to get there, but it is a Nuzlocke where you naturally gain a lot of Pokemon. So, you know, we'll see. Basically, we'll see what happens. Because we might get it, and we might not. And we're definitely going to have enough for Flash, for example, so that'll be good. I mean, Fluffum's hit level 13. Excellent. Well done, Fluffums. Well done. So that was all well and good. And then, you know, Gen 2 introduced, oh, you can have this. You know what? Sandshrews are where we're going to be swapping out to Yoink, because Yoink will ruin them. And Yoink is, you know, real bad against Spearow. So, you know, also, how strange is it to just see, like, one move in a Pokemon's moveset? It happens a lot in Gen 1, actually. Not so much in later ones, which is good. It's natural game progression, but, you know, still makes it, like, a unique experience. So anyway, the point is that the experience share was introduced in Gen 2 as like, hey, a Pokemon can hold this, and then they'll just gain half of the experience, or 3/4 if they were in the battle, regardless of whether, you know, well, they gained half if they weren't in and 3/4 if they were, regardless of how many other Pokemon participated. And it was this great, like, grinding tool. Like, yeah, Fluffums is low-leveled here, so he would just be, you know what, Immortal P, you're gonna swap in just in case this thing crits with a peck or something. Well, used pack, it might have been a crit on Sandshrew because, you know, it's determined by speed. And Immortal P is much faster than Fluffums. And you know what? Fluffums is real well experience, so let's go here. So anyway, so that was the way that they split experience between Gens 2 and 5, and it worked. It was still a little bit slow, you know, there weren't a lot of options. Gen 5 really did help out with you just got a Lucky Egg during the run, it boosted experience by 1.5 times. Very helpful, you know, Gen 5 also introduced multiple ways to grind your Pokemon. There was always the Versus Seeker. Then there were, like, trainers who will just rebattle you no matter what if you step into a route. And then there was Audino, which is, Unova, pretty exclusive, but, you know, still. There were options. They were building that way. And then Gen 6 introduced something new, which was, you know what? Every Pokemon who participates in the battle gains the full experience, which already makes things faster. And, in addition, they introduced the experience share. The new experience share, which was basically the concept of the experience all, only the Pokemon who participated in battle still gained the full experience. And everyone else gained half. So it wasn't split evenly 6 ways, it was just, everybody gains half. This made leveling so much faster. And it was great, because immediately it was an item which was always in your bag because you had unlimited bag at that point, but you could turn it on and off at will, often. And that meant that there were basically like kind of 3 ways to play. You could either play it with it off and have more of the traditional experience. You could play with it on and basically make the game easy mode because you were going to be over leveled no matter what you did. Or you could play it with it on sometimes, off sometimes, which meant, well, I'm going to turn it on during times like this when I have to grind, and, I'll turn it off all the other times because I don't need that. Made it great. It meant that you were still cycling through all of your Pokemon. You got to use them as much as you wanted to, or as little as you wanted to. If you were trying to carry somebody weaker for a while, they could just like kind of sit in the back and gain experience, not casually. What word am I thinking of here? Like, without working for it. I'm blanking. Either way, it was a nice little grinding tool, and generally considered great by everyone. Especially me. I love the concept of, you know what, it's an option. If you want to use it, great. If not, also great. It doesn't really affect the play that much. There's just maybe a few less trainers or the trainers have less Pokemon because, well, we don't want those using it to be at level 60 by the 3rd gym or whatever. It wouldn't be by the 3rd gym, but you'd be like 40 by the 3rd gym if there were normal trainer amounts in the game. So it was a very good concept, and it helped the games be better in a lot of ways. All of the Gen 6 games and pretty much all of Gen 7 benefited from this, and okay, Fluffums, you lived a crit, so I'm going to assume you're fine no matter what it does. And it used Leer, so unless you get the 1 out of 256 miss, you're fine. It was a great idea, and well executed because you could turn it on and off. And they kept it for Gen 7, which was also great, because then you could, well, be over-leveled during a tougher game, or not, and have the game legitimately be even tougher. Gen 7 games are, in my opinion at least, the hardest of the mainline Pokemon games. I don't even think that's a very controversial opinion, honestly. But, it was great. And then Let's Go happened. Let's Go was designed to be an easier game. And I get that, and I appreciate that. And it was also designed more around catching than training, than battling. The Pokemon being caught gave way more experience than trainer Pokemon did. And you know what? It's a different style of gameplay, and I very much appreciated it. I love the games. They're very good. Let's Go are really good games. I'm still hoping for Let's Go Johto at some point. Come on, Togepi Amaro. Who are we kidding? It'll be awesome. And you know what? Finally, it's in their Sandshire going to come out. Very, very good games in general. But they took away the option of experience share. They just made it guaranteed. Every Pokemon gained full experience during captures. Since the Pokemon weren't participating in the battles, that actually made a lot of sense. And, during trainer battles, it was those who participated gained full, and those who didn't gained half. But it made sense because experience worked so differently, and they had to come up with something for the actual, catching of Pokemon. Your Pokemon had to gain experience somewhere, basically. And, all of them gaining it during a catch just made sense since none were participating in the battle, and they were making it more catch-focused than battle-focused. It all worked out really well. It was well designed for a game that was intentionally meant for newer players and to be easier, to be more, just fun, casual. It was good. And then Sword and Shield happened. Sword and Shield are mainline games. They weren't supposed to work like that. They still had Pokemon appearing in the field, which was a great decision, obviously, but they took away the option of the experience all. It's just forced now. And many people complain that this makes the game too easy, which, yeah, it does, because your Pokemon are going to be over-leveled if you battle all the trainers. But most of the trainers were avoidable. You could actually stay under level caps if you just avoided a lot of trainers. The problem with that, the core problem with that, is that a large part of Pokemon's appeal as a series is that you never play the game the same way twice, unless you really, really want to. You're catching different Pokemon, you're using different team members, and the joy of that, especially for players like me, is that you're actually using those Pokemon. You get to experience a difference in your team because you're literally using different Pokemon. You know, Fluffums has been out front for this entire video of grinding because, you know, we got a Sandshrew and he's going to be super valuable to our team. But it's a totally different experience than if, say, Yoink had been up front the entire time, because different matchups, different abilities, different typings, different everything. So it's a very different experience, and that's a huge part of the appeal, because that's Pokemon's replay value. Oh, you've already beaten this game a dozen times? Well, how about with this team? This is new. And that's great, and that's what's great about Pokemon. It's why I play it so much. I mean, I am an extreme example because at this point in my life, I have used every single Pokemon from the first 7 generations in a game somewhere. Yeah, all of them. Even legendaries, mythicals, everything. I found a way to use them somewhere along the road. The problem that the forced experience all creates is that you can't do that anymore. If your Pokemon are of different experience groups, which has always been just a unique feature that, you know, makes the Pokemon feel more different from one another, then you're going to end up using some way more than others. If you've got someone in the medium slow experience group, which is kind of the fastest one starting out, you're going to use them like twice while you're using your medium fast ones for every battle. And, you know, if you've got someone in fast and someone in slow, forget about it. You're never going to use the fast one. They're going to be higher level than your slow one while not participating in any battles whatsoever. It really is a bummer, and it takes away a lot of the replay value from these games because, you know, I haven't gotten through all the Pokemon in Gen 8, and even the ones I have, I feel like I have barely used them, even though they've been on my team for longer than the ones I used in the first 7 generations, who I felt like I got the full experience out of. It's this really weird combination because, like, I want to use my Pokemon. I want to gain that. I want to have that experience, to have that fun. That's the fun of it. And you don't really get that. You don't, cycling through your team, if you're trying to keep your team evenly leveled, forget about it. If you've got like OCD of any type, I'm not a person who really suffers from OCD, just tiny little bits. I like to keep my team as evenly leveled as I can. You know, obviously in a Nuzlocke like this, things are going to be all over the place because I'm not trying to make every episode about grinding. Like, clearly this one just became a grind as I'm ranting about things. But, you know, for the most part, my team is gonna be wildly different levels as we go through things. So, you know, that's fine, but I'm still, like, in my brain, I'm like, not everybody's level 17, and that's what Immortal P is, and he's my starter, and everyone should be at the same level as him. So, yeah, that's kind of where I am. And so it kind of takes that experience away from players who have grown to like it over 7 generations. And they did it in Sword and Shield, and they kept it for Scarlet Violet, which is even more insane because the open world and everything is overleveled all the time. If you want to explore a third of the game, you're going to be wildly overleveled for the entire rest of it. So it's kind of even worse there. And it makes the fact that it makes the game easier isn't even the biggest issue with it because, you know what? Pokemon is not supposed to be a very hard game. There have been times when the games have been difficult, and those games have generally received mixed reactions from the fans. I love all of the Alola games, but a lot of fans don't like them as much. Partly because of story, but also partly because of that issue. It's hard. And you know, if they want to just play it casually, it's harder to do so. You kind of have to plan things a little bit more. So, you know, I can see where it would be a turnoff for a lot of fans. So the point is that keeping the games easier, not necessarily a bad thing. But the fact that it takes away options for players and takes away a lot of the replay value and experience for those players is where it's a serious problem with the series. I mean, again, I am fully of the opinion that no Pokemon game has been amiss so far, mainline series. But, you know, it really is starting to wear on me because even though I love Sword and Shield and I love Scarlet and Violet, there is much less replay value for me there. I have, you know, Scarlet and Violet came out, what, almost 2 years ago now? And I've played it like 4 times. And ordinarily, by the time a game had been out, I mean, I played Sun and Moon 3 times in the first month. Like, not month, it was like 3 months, but still, it was a lot, and I've played them a lot since. And Sword and Shield I've played probably 6 or 7, but that's still not all that many. Well, no, I'm probably up to like 9 now, because I've done some extra stuff. But, you know, I've been trying to fill in that decks as much as I can, and again, it feels like it's, like I've barely even used them. And the same thing is happening in Paldea. I feel like I've barely used the decks, even though I've used a lot of it at this point. Well, I haven't used a lot of it. I've used like a quarter of it. But still, I don't feel like it's even close to that. I feel like I've used like 4 Pokemon so far because, well, you know, I wanted to use Ceruledge and he's in the slow experience group, so I never got to use any of my fast guys. It's disappointing, basically. So that's my take on it. It's not just that it makes the game easier, it takes away from the core tenets of what makes Pokemon such a special series. And, you know, yeah, it takes away this. It takes away this 20 minutes of grinding to get my Pokemon up to levels that they can take on ordinary trainers with. And that part is nice. And that is why I loved the experience share having an on-off switch. But they took away the option. They took away the utility for the player, and in doing so, they took away the replayability of a lot of the game. So that is my rant. I said I was going to get him up to level 15 and did, and it's a little bit of a longer episode. But you know what? That's fine because, you know, we got that grind, and next time we can actually take on Route 25. So thank you so much for watching and listening to my rant here. That's all it kind of ended up being. And we will see you next time when we will actually progress to Route 25. And take on the trainers then. See you then.